Ilara Hayes stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the sprawling campus of the Interstellar Academy. The sun of this distant planet reflected off the polished metal walkways, casting long glimmers across the faces of hundreds of new recruits. She adjusted the strap of her pack and looked around. Everywhere she saw bright uniforms, eager faces, and chatter about accomplishments, medals, and past victories. To any observer, she seemed like just another young human recruit, excited and nervous for the start of a new chapter. But Ilara's history was far from ordinary. Unlike most of her classmates, she had already faced real battles, skirmishes on hostile worlds where every choice had life or death consequences. She had led small squads of soldiers through harsh environments, survived ambushes from alien insurgents, and returned with knowledge and experience that no ordinary recruit possessed. Yet here, among a sea of bright-eyed students, she walked quietly, saying nothing of her past, observing and waiting for the right moment to reveal her skills. Her first steps on the campus were filled with careful observation. Recruits moved in groups, some showing off, some nervous, and others lost in the vast scale of the academy. Alien cadets with unusual forms and abilities mingled freely, their features unfamiliar to Ilara but nothing that surprised her. She had encountered many alien species before, some hostile, some indifferent, but all unpredictable. Ilara moved toward the dormitory section, where each recruit was assigned a small living pod. As she walked, she overheard conversations. "I got the medal for strategy simulations last year," a sleek alien cadet said to a companion. "I survived the orbital strike exercise without losing a squad member," another boasted. Humans were rare here, and most of them were young recruits with some training but no real combat experience. Ilara's heart did not race with nerves, as it would for a first-time recruit. She had faced worse situations than any simulation the Academy could offer. She merely adjusted her pack, nodded politely at passing cadets, and kept moving. Inside her mind, she calculated logistics, analyzed formations, and noted potential weaknesses in the campus layout, a habit ingrained from years of field experience. Her pod was small, but efficient. She unpacked her personal gear, which was minimal compared to the highly specialized equipment of other cadets. Here, appearances mattered less than performance, and Ilara knew that action spoke louder than medals or chatter. The next morning brought the first official exercise, physical and tactical evaluation. Recruits lined up in formation, their uniforms crisp, their eyes wide with anticipation. Instructors with stern expressions and various alien ranks moved along the lines, observing, judging, and taking notes. Ilara stood silently, her posture straight but relaxed. Her presence alone seemed calm, almost unnoticeable to most around her, but not to all. "Move to your stations," the instructor barked. The recruits sprinted to the obstacle course, a complex field of climbing walls, zero-gravity zones, and tactical simulation pods. Ilara's experience in unpredictable terrain gave her an immediate advantage. She moved fluidly through the obstacles, balancing, climbing, and calculating each step before acting. Cadets around her struggled to keep pace, some slipping in zero-gravity sections, others panicking at complex maneuvers. Ilara's movements were precise, efficient, and deliberate. She finished the course quickly without breaking a sweat. Next was the strategy simulation, a holographic battlefield projected in the center of the training hall. Recruits were assigned small squads, each tasked with completing a series of objectives against AI-controlled forces. Ilara's squad consisted of 4 cadets, none with much experience. 2 of them were alien cadets unfamiliar with human combat styles, while another was a nervous first-year human with no battlefield confidence. Ilara stepped forward, her voice calm and clear. "Listen carefully. AI moves predictably if you watch patterns. Don't charge blindly. Cover each other, watch angles, and communicate. I'll guide us." The squad exchanged wary glances. Some thought she was overconfident, but they had no choice but to follow. The simulation began. Holographic enemy forces appeared in waves, advancing quickly, testing coordination and strategy. The other squad seemed disorganized, moving erratically, losing points at every mistake. Ilara's squad, under her quiet direction, moved smoothly. She positioned each member where they could cover blind spots, predicted AI maneuvers before they happened, and even suggested unconventional tactics that seemed risky but worked perfectly. Slowly, her squad gained an edge over the others. A few instructors paused mid-observation, their interest piqued. They noted how her squad seemed to operate with a cohesion and efficiency that went beyond ordinary training. Whispers began to circulate. "Who is she?" one instructor asked another. "She moves like a veteran," another replied. Alara finished the simulation with her squad intact, all objectives completed, and points higher than almost any other group. She did not celebrate, only straightened her posture and nodded politely to the instructors. Her actions had spoken louder than any words. Between exercises, she observed quietly. She noticed alien cadets struggling with coordination, and without drawing attention, she offered small tips: how to adjust aim, when to communicate, how to anticipate enemy patterns. Some took her advice in secret, curious about this human who seemed to understand strategy instinctively. The day ended with a briefing. Instructors discussed overall performance, praising some, criticizing others, and noting potential for improvement. Alara remained silent, not needing recognition, yet her results were quietly impressive. The whispers about her continued. "She's too precise, too calm. Who is she really?" Later that evening, as recruits returned to their pods, Alara reflected on the day. She had navigated every obstacle, every simulation, and every interaction without exposing too much of her past. To the academy, she was just another recruit performing well, but to herself she knew the full measure of her abilities. Years of battlefield experience had honed her mind, trained her instincts, and given her the confidence to handle even extreme situations calmly. She remembered her previous campaigns, planetary skirmishes where decisions meant life or death, missions where her small squads had outsmarted alien forces far larger than them, and the countless hours of strategy planning that often saved hundreds of lives. All of that had shaped her into the human she was today, disciplined, observant, capable yet humble. As night fell over the academy, Alara looked out from her pod's small window at the stars above. The galaxy stretched endlessly, filled with wonders, dangers, and opportunities. She knew that enrolling at the Interstellar Academy was only the beginning. Here she would face new challenges, meet new allies, and encounter new enemies, but nothing would catch her off guard. Her military history had prepared her for much worse than simulations, and she was ready to prove that humanity, even when underestimated, could rise to any occasion. Somewhere in the darkness of the campus, a few cadets whispered about her again. "Did you see how she handled that simulation?" One said. "She's not ordinary," another replied. Little did they know they had only seen a fraction of what Alara Hayes could do. And when the first major interstellar exercise came, they would witness a display of strategy, skill, and courage that would leave a mark on the academy forever. Alara returned to her pod and sat quietly, reviewing her mental notes from the day. She planned her approach for tomorrow, analyzing strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities for her squad to shine. She also considered the political observers, hidden instructors who monitored recruits for signs of exceptional ability. She had to balance her performance, enough to impress, enough to help her team, but not so much that she attracted undue attention from those who might misuse her skills. She paused, looking at the insignia of the Interstellar Academy on her uniform. This was the place where the galaxy's future leaders were forged. And while she had already lived through battles, wars, and impossible situations, she understood that the Academy would test her in new ways, through alliances, diplomacy, intelligence, and raw skill. As she finally lay down to rest, a quiet smile crossed her face. Tomorrow, the Academy would see more of her brilliance, and the galaxy would slowly begin to realize that humanity could not be underestimated. She was just one human among many, yet she carried within her the weight of countless experiences, a mind sharpened by adversity and a courage that would not waver. And so, the first day ended quietly, but beneath the calm surface, Alara Hayes was already preparing for the challenges that would define her legacy at the Interstellar Academy. To everyone else, she was just another recruit. To herself, and soon to the galaxy, she was something far greater. The sun rose over the Interstellar Academy, casting golden light across the sprawling training fields. Today was the first major interstellar exercise, the one every recruit had been preparing for since arrival. Unlike previous simulations, this one would test more than skill. It would challenge strategy, teamwork, and the ability to adapt to unexpected scenarios. Recruits were assembled in squads, each assigned a fleet of virtual ships and tasked with completing objectives while competing against other squads in a large-scale, simulated battle. Alara Hayes arrived early, standing quietly at the edge of her squad. Her team looked tense. Several were alien cadets unfamiliar with human tactics, and one nervous recruit seemed ready to give up before the exercise even began. Alara scanned the holographic control panels, noting fleet strengths, enemy movements, and environmental factors. She breathed deeply, letting calm focus replace any trace of nerves. "Listen up," she said, her voice clear and firm. "This exercise is complex but predictable if we follow patterns and communicate. Watch your flanks, cover weak points, and adapt when necessary. Don't panic if things go wrong. We adjust. That's how we win." The squad nodded, some more confidently than others. They had seen her guidance before and they knew it worked. The exercise began. Holographic enemy ships emerged from multiple directions, swarming toward the squad's bases. Other teams struggled, moving too slowly, firing in disorganized patterns and failing to coordinate between ships. Ilara's squad, under her quiet leadership, moved with precision. She directed each recruit where to position their ships, when to retreat, and when to strike. Her strategy was unconventional, but highly effective. While other squads relied on brute force, she used deception, speed, and adaptability. She predicted enemy maneuvers before they happened, exploiting patterns in AI behavior. Every move was calculated to maximize efficiency while minimizing risk. Her squad advanced steadily, completing objectives faster than anyone expected. Observers in the control room began to whisper. Instructors leaned forward, eyes narrowed in interest. "She's anticipating moves before they occur," one said. "Her squad is outpacing every other group without making mistakes." Meanwhile, her alien teammates began to trust her instinctively. One of the alien cadets, previously hesitant, moved confidently under her direction, covering vulnerable angles and supporting other ships. Another, who had been nervous about his own abilities, executed precise maneuvers that won critical points, all guided by Alara's calm commands. The nervous recruit, inspired by her composure, overcame hesitation and began taking bold but calculated risks. Wave after wave of enemy ships attacked. The simulation grew more intense, with sudden ambushes, environmental hazards, and changing objectives. Yet Alara remained steady. She adjusted strategies on the fly, moving her fleet like pieces on a chessboard, always 2 steps ahead. Her decisions were intuitive yet precise, a combination of experience, observation, and instinct. By mid-exercise, it became clear that Alara's squad was leading. Other teams began to notice. Cadets whispered in amazement, "How is she doing this?" Some tried to imitate her strategies, but they lacked the experience and understanding to execute them effectively. Alara's calm presence and ability to see the bigger picture set her apart. Instructors gathered around observation stations, analyzing her movements. "This is beyond training," one commented. "She has real battlefield experience. No simulation alone produces this level of strategy." As the exercise reached its climax, enemy forces launched a concentrated strike against her squad. Ships swarmed from multiple directions, and for a moment it seemed impossible to defend every point. Most squads would have panicked or fallen apart. Alara did not hesitate. She reorganized her forces, redirecting some ships to cover weak points and using a feint to lure the enemy into a trap. Her squad executed flawlessly, neutralizing threats and completing the final objectives. When the exercise ended, the holographic battlefield dissolved. Alara's squad had completed all objectives, suffered minimal losses, and scored higher than any other team. A stunned silence filled the control room, followed by murmurs of admiration. Instructors exchanged impressed glances, while other recruits stared, unable to comprehend how one human had managed such coordination and precision. During the debriefing, instructors asked Alara to explain her decisions. She spoke calmly, detailing her thought process, how she anticipated enemy patterns, and why she adjusted strategies at certain moments. She did not boast of past missions, only explained her logic in the context of the exercise. Yet her explanations revealed a depth of understanding that suggested experience far beyond a typical recruit. After the debriefing, recruits gathered in the Academy's common hall. Many approached Alara quietly, curious to learn from her. "How did you know the enemy would split at that exact point?" one asked. "How did you keep everyone calm under pressure?" Another wanted to know. Alara smiled gently, sharing advice without revealing too much of her history. She emphasized observation, patience, and teamwork, principles any recruit could apply. As the day ended, instructors quietly discussed her potential. Some suggested she might be suitable for advanced tactical training or leadership programs, far beyond what a first-year recruit would normally access. Ilara listened, noting their reactions but remaining focused on her own goals. She was not here for recognition, she was here to grow, to test herself, and to demonstrate that humanity, often underestimated in galactic affairs, could perform with brilliance, adaptability, and courage. That evening, Ilara returned to her pod, reflecting on the day. She thought about her team, how each member had risen to the challenge and how her guidance had allowed them to see their potential. She realized that leadership was not about power. It was about helping others discover their strengths, even in high-pressure situations. She also thought about the whispers that followed her. Some cadets were beginning to understand that humans, despite being smaller in number and sometimes underestimated, carried unique qualities that could not be replicated by aliens or AI. Ingenuity, intuition, and adaptability were human strengths, and Ilara embodied them fully. As she looked out at the stars from her pod window, she understood that this exercise was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown challenges, and the Academy was just the first step. There would be tougher missions, real conflicts, and situations where the lives of others depended on split-second decisions. Yet she was ready. She had faced worse than simulations. She had survived hostile planets, led soldiers through impossible odds, and come back stronger each time. Ilara also felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. For the first time, she had demonstrated her skills in a way that others could see even if they did not yet know the full story. She had proven that human experience, intelligence, and courage were invaluable, even in a galaxy filled with advanced technology and alien brilliance. As night deepened over the Academy, a few cadets lingered near her pod, still whispering about her performance. "Did you see how she handled the final wave?" And one said, "She's more than a recruit, she's a natural leader." Ilara smiled to herself. They had only seen a fraction of her ability, and tomorrow, when new challenges arose, she would push her squad even further, testing strategy, adaptability, and teamwork in ways that would leave a lasting mark on the Academy. Her thoughts drifted to the future. The galaxy awaited, full of unknown dangers and opportunities. Here, at the Interstellar Academy, she had found a place to refine her skills, build alliances, and demonstrate the full potential of humanity. She knew that humans could be underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed, but they also had a capacity for courage, creativity, and determination that no one could match. Ilara Hayes had enrolled like everyone else, appearing ordinary, blending in with the crowd. Yet her military history, her experience, and her natural brilliance told a different story. A story of resilience, intelligence, and quiet heroism. A story that would soon be known to all who encountered her at the Academy. And as she lay down to rest, she felt ready. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new simulations, and new opportunities to lead. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity, when guided by experience, courage, and ingenuity, could rise to any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and leave a mark far greater than anyone had imagined. Ilara closed her eyes, letting the quiet hum of the Academy settle around her. She was no longer just another recruit. She was a human, a strategist, a leader, and her story at the Interstellar Academy was only beginning.